Welcome to my channel. Now, I've got a question for you. It's a question that I'm trying to answer myself because I picked up some receipts from 2014 from files that I've got in my archives, and I just had a quick look at the material prices back then. Now we're in 2025. I thought to myself, I wonder just how much building materials, namely timber in my case, have actually gone up in that time. It's been a bit like a whirlwind, if you like, or a roller coaster, because we've had all kinds of things happening. We've had COVID, we've had conflicts in the world which can affect all kinds of material prices and commodities and that sort of stuff. But I was intrigued to think about what does it actually mean to me as a tradesperson? How much has it actually gone up in sort of comparison to other things as well? So I've picked out one of these receipts, and it's a little bit like a shopping basket, a typical shopping basket of what I might buy. So we've got sawn carcassing, so sawn timber, the sort of thing used for stud work. We've also got primed MDF architrave, so second fix material, very, very common. We've got insulation board on there, the PIR stuff, the most commonly used insulation boards. We've also got exterior OSB, another really popular product sold by nearly everybody. And then we've got some redwood framed edge and brace doors, which are just a typical off the peg joinery item. We've got some planed timber, and we've got a door frame. So I'm going to take this back to the timber merchant, the same timber merchant. This is Champion, which is a small independent merchant in the southeast. I'm going to take this back now. I'm going to get them to recost it, and I'm going to see exactly what the difference is. It'd be interesting to know what petrol have done in the same time, or what the price of vans have done as well in about 10 or 12 years. So maybe I'll find that out later on. It'd be also interesting to know what house prices have done as well in that time, because they should be connected to building materials and property prices. I would have thought. And labour, I know for a fact I'm charging more now after 10 or 12 years. Yeah, definitely charging more. And that's partly because there's a lot less labour out there. So there's all kinds of weird dynamics going on. And although I can't put my finger on a theory of what's going on, I have my suspicions that potentially the cost of building is getting more expensive on the labour side. So the material manufacturers, maybe they're trying to compensate a little bit by making their products more sort of accessible. I don't know, it's a bit of an interesting one. But yeah, house prices, it'd be interesting to see exactly what they've done in 12 years. I've got a good idea what they have done as well. But yeah, we'll see. But basically, you could look at everything, couldn't you? I mean, the price of food, flights, all kinds of things. You know, I would have thought that building materials, especially as they're in such demand and they're produced from raw materials from all over the world, I would have thought that they would have definitely been keeping up with sort of everything else. So maybe I'll have a look at what 6 eggs was 10 years ago, what a pint of milk was 10 years ago, what a flight was, how much I could fly somewhere for 10 years ago. Yeah, where does it end? I know that we're trying to prove how much or how little building materials have gone up in this video, but I think that there's so many things going on in the world that yeah, we need to look at it all together. Quick pop in, get the guys to reprice it exactly as it is, and then it'd be so interesting to see just exactly how much materials have gone up. Here's a clue already. That's cheaper than what was on that original invoice from 12 years ago.
Morning, Robin.
How are you? I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good, Craig. Craig, quick question. This is a bit of a random one. I've not come to buy anything today, but what I have got, right, this is an invoice, a cash sale invoice from 2014, okay?
Okay.
And on it are a whole load of things I sort of typically buy. We've got sawn timber insulation, we've got some MDF architrave, some OSB, we've got a redwood framed edge and brace door, we've got some plain material and a typical door frame, okay, an off-the-shelf door frame. Can you recost that, hopefully in that order for me?
Yeah, of course I can.
And
That's
email it over to me, because that would be absolutely fantastic, because I'm actually trying to prove how much stuff has gone up or how much stuff hasn't gone up in the last 10 to 12 years. So that'd be great, mate. I'll leave it with you.
That's fine. Live with
If
me.
you can email it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll get that sorted for you.
Catch you in a bit.
See you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Well, that was super interesting. They're going to email me over the paperwork. I'm back and I've got the information that I went to get. I'm also going to have a quick chat with AI, with Gemini 2, which is what I use, and ask it a little bit about house prices and that sort of stuff. I'll print that off and we'll have a good look through and see where building materials are, namely timber, compared to other things that have gone up in the last 12 years. First things first, have a quick cup of coffee. Okay, so armed with a lot of information about all manner of things, including things like the price of my van, which I'll come to a little bit later on, I have got the answer with regards to that shopping basket, if you like, of materials that I bought 12 years ago, 2014, from my local merchant. They've priced it all up in the same order, and it's really quite interesting how it's come out. We'll look at the individual lines, there's not that many lines, and then we'll look at the overall rate of increase or decrease as the case may be. So I did start by saying at the beginning that you know, about the question of have materials really gone up, and I'll quickly answer that. And of course they have gone up, but by how much? And by as much as everyone thinks, because people often pipe on about building materials are so expensive and this, that and the other. And some people's recollection of what building materials are may be from an experience they had 10 years before when they did something, and then they've gone out to do something the same and they think, wow, it's so expensive. So certain items have gone up considerably, but quite a lot of what we use in our everyday construction lives really haven't. So let's start off. We started off, the first line was just typical construction timber, what we'd call 4x2, okay? And the original price for the quantity that I had was £1.53 a metre, and that was in 2014. It's only £1.56 a metre now. Now that's a tiny increase of 1.96%, okay? Today's figures against 2014's. The next line was for MDF architrave, okay, very standard product. And back in 2014, it was £1.20 a metre. It's now £2.25, so that's 87.5% increase, so a significant increase in that as well. Partly put down to that's a product that is produced, and so there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of manpower and transport and that sort of stuff. Then we go on to something which is really interesting, so Celotex. So this is the typical PIR board that you find. Back in 2014, we were paying £39 and a penny a sheet. This is for 90 millimetres. Now, for the same thickness of board, £30 a sheet, so a decrease of 23%. So that's gone down by a quarter, okay? And then we move on to OSB, one of the most popular board or sheet material products in construction. I use it pretty much all the time, so it's the sort of thing I always like to look at. And it was interesting because as I walked into Champion, there was a big banner there saying it was on offer. And so I was paying, in 2014, £19.94 a sheet. These are all excluding VAT, okay? We just talk about excluding VAT. £19.94, and now currently they're £16.50 a sheet, okay? That's 12 years later. So that's a decrease of 17.25%, okay? So quite a big decrease as well. And then we're moving on to what we call the softwood frame ledge and brace door. So the door was priced at £67.50 in 2014, and now they're £82.10. Again, it's a joinery item produced in a factory. Energy costs are higher, labour costs are higher, so I would say that that's what I'd expect. And that's an increase of 15%, 15.5%. Next we go on to planed timber. So this is just 2x2 planed, very common material used by all builders and tradespeople. Back then it was £2.59 a metre, and now it's £3.41. That's a 31% increase. Again, it's softwood material, producing softwood, growing softwood is expensive, and softwood was particularly affected by some of these conflicts as well, because a lot of it had come from places that were now having a lot of issues, a lot of troubles. And the last thing on that particular list was another joinery item. It was an unassembled door frame, and back in the day these were £44.40 each. Now they're £71.55 each, so an increase of 61%. So the things that I thought would have gone up have gone up. The joinery items, anything that's been produced in a factory potentially where there's labour involved, of course they've gone up. But overall, the overall increase, the first shopping basket came out, including VAT now, at £918.89. And now today, 12 years later, the whole shopping basket, including VAT, £995.21. That's only an increase of 8.31%. Now inflation, on average, for the last 12 years has been 2.77% a year. I know it's been fluctuating, it's been going up and down, but I did a quick calculation on AI and I said if the average rate of inflation was 2.77% for the last 12 years, how much would this shopping basket be now? And the price would have been £1,275.44. So you can clearly see that as a collection of materials, the prices have gone up by a tiny amount, 8%. And when you're building, that's what you need to look at, the overall picture. So that was really interesting. So I think that the building material prices are stabilising, and really quite interesting. Now let's talk a little bit about earnings, okay? So I asked it about AI, about self-employed carpenters like myself. So earnings from 2014 to today. So in fact, it took it up to mid-2025, so just over 10 years. They reckon that the average UK hourly rate for a self-employed carpenter back then was between £16 and £25 an hour. I would agree with that. Now they're saying that it's between £30 and £50 an hour. I would probably agree with that as well. And they've got some sources there. So the Construction Index, they've got My Job Quote, which is another company that collates data, Checker Trade, and all kinds of other people as well. So that would have given us an average income of between about 25,000 then average, and £55,000 now. I don't think that's unreasonable, okay? And that would equate to, in 2014, about £40,000 before your expenses and tax, and £75,000 now, which I reckon is right for a tradesperson. That was really quite interesting. Then we'll just go on to some of those other items I mentioned. For example, let's start with some of the big commodities. Gold is up 153.2% in that time. Silver 88%, and oil, in fact, from the date of 2014 to now, it's actually down by 39%. So that's an interesting concept as well. Average house prices. So this was an average house price in London in 2014 was £460,000. Yes, it's a lot of money, but the average house price June 2025 was £1,064,217, a 131% increase. So that's a big increase. And the average car price has also gone up by 89%, from 14,600 to 27,649. And then I talked a little bit about eggs as well. Eggs have actually come down by 48%. So all your farmers out there are getting squeezed. You need to get onto that, okay? So yeah, so they've actually come down by 48.4%. But gas has gone up by 55%. We don't need to talk about that. And electric by 75%. Hence the reason why some of the material price goes up when there's manufacture involved as well. And monthly rents. This is hard for people who are renting. Up 100%, so they've doubled in the last 12 years or thereabouts. So yeah, it's a really interesting scenario. And my last point I would say about my van, okay, so I called up Rossits, they're a Mercedes-Benz dealer. This is my second van I bought from them, both from new. But my initial van, let me got the figures here. My initial van costs me, here we go. All my numbers, I've got loads of numbers here. My initial van was £27,278 plus VAT and then road tax, which was around about 250 quid at the time, I think. Now, the equivalent van, as I just said, quote like for like, exactly the same specification, for example. Even with their discount, they give you a special discount at the moment, there's always offers on, is £41,999. £920. So a fairly significant increase. It's a 53% increase over that time. Of course, vehicles have changed completely in that time. So yeah, there you go. So my van would have gone up by 53%. Earnings are up. Material prices though, they're fairly stable. So I hope that has been interesting to you. Tell me about your experiences in the comments. And I know that I've looked at a particular shopping basket, but I've also spoke to a local builders merchants about sand and cement, and the story is very similar there as well. Anyway, if you like this sort of content, I do have a podcast called The Carpentry Show, which is from wherever you get your podcasts aligned. And I do a lot of this kind of thing, a lot of this kind of topics where I'm away, obviously not on the tools when I'm doing a podcast. But in the meantime, like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic as well. And if you want any more videos like this, let me know and I'll be glad to do them.